Faith shapes how billions of people see the world, their purpose, their morality, and their hope. But before all the theology, before all the arguments, and before religion became debated, there were people searching for meaning. Hi, I'm Faithless, and Personal Faith is a video series about those people, where they're able to explain in their own words their faith, what they believe, and why. Now, none of the people interviewed here are meant to represent their religion as a whole. Instead, this series is meant to take a look at the many different ways people interpret their religions, how they interact with them, and how they practice them day to day. So maybe you know these religions, maybe you don't, but we hope that as you take this journey with us, through something that is very personal and intimate to people, that you'll at least come away with a better understanding of the individuals and what they believe, their stories and their experiences. Let's break it down. All right, so this will actually, when it posts, it'll be the second in a series of interviews, and this time I'm really excited because I have a Norse pagan, Mike the Norse Pagan, who wrote these books, How Not to Norse Pagan, and the Voluspa, which I probably mispronounced that there. So Mike, I guess the first question was if you could tell us a little bit about yourself, whatever you're comfortable with sharing.
Yeah, so I'm a Swedish person, been a Norse pagan for 20 plus years. I work as a teacher in civics and English. It's 1 a.m. my time here, so if I mess up the grammar, I do apologize for that. Um, I had many different jobs during my lifetime. I've been, testing out bits and bobs here and there. And I live with a Christian. Could be good to know as well.
Oh, I didn't know that. But that,
Valkyrie, that's her code name, by the way.
mm-hmm.
We don't use her real name online. She's a Christian, and sometimes it's a little bit. I'm not going to say challenging, but it makes the relationship a little bit more interesting
Yeah,
when
I
we
was going to
discuss,
say,
for instance, religion.
I bet there's a lot of interesting conversations there.
Yeah, but that's about it. There is nothing much interesting to say about me, actually. Like, that's my background. I am crazy. I do crazy things.
Well, I'm glad you took the time to talk with us because, especially until I started talking to you, I really didn't have any idea about what Norse paganism, well, really Norse or paganism either, because there's other varieties of paganism, correct?
Oh yeah, there are several. You have the Greco-Roman pagans. You have the just Greek pagans. You have the Germanic pagans, which is kind of the same gods as we have. You have the Celtic pagans. There's so many like literally everything outside of Christianity and the Abrahamic faith are considered to be pagan in their standard.
That's what I was going to say. It
Um,
kind of extends over anything that's not that sort of.
yeah.
So
We
specifically,
shouldn't forget to. Oh,
go
sorry.
ahead. No, go ahead.
We shouldn't forget to mention the eclectic pagans, which are pagans that have gods from all the different branches.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe they have one from the Norse and one from the Greco-Romans and one from the Celtic. Those would be eclectic ones.
Okay, where
Um,
they kind of combine it.
yeah, it's a very interesting to talk to them. If you ever can find an eclectic pagan to talk to, just sit down and have a good conversation because how they view life and how they view their faith is very interesting just to listen to. Even though I don't agree with everything they say,
Mm-hmm.
it's always interesting because I learn so much how they see different gods and stuff like that. It's
It's neat. Real quick, I do need to warn you here in about 40 minutes, if we're still going, my dogs may start barking because someone's going to come home. And if it does, I'll pause and I apologize for it because they're very annoying. They're very sweet animals, but
don't.
they're very loud.
Yeah, you can't stop a dog from barking.
No.
That's how they show happiness.
Yeah.
Sorry.
They're very happy to see people come home. So,
Yeah.
okay, well, we'll roll on. The next question was, what faith do you believe in? But I think you've said a little bit about it there. But if you could just go ahead and expand.
Yeah, so even though my name is Mike the Norse Pagan, I am something called Fornshed. Norse pagan,
Mm.
because Norse paganism is like an umbrella term,
Okay.
and in there you have the different quote unquote branches.
Hmm.
Um, the one people usually knows about is Asatru, um, which is the religion from Iceland. But
Okay.
then you have other different ones. You have the Anglo pagans, for instance, that goes under the Norse pagan umbrella, and you have mine, which is Fornshed or the Fornsider, which literally translates to the old way.
I am
So
probably going
my
to have.
faith,
Oh, sorry. I was going to say I'm probably going to have
uh,
you send me some of these words so that I'd like to include them because I know just listening
yeah,
to it and everything, it's going to be hard to get that down.
yeah, I'm gonna send you the audio files here, and if there are any words that you're like, "What did you say here?" I will just send you a transcript. Like, this is how it's said in Swedish. Here is how it's said in our
Awesome.
language. But short and short, the faith I follow is literally translated to the old ways or the old customs,
Hmm. So,
which gets confusing. But I will explain that why later.
well, that's what I was gonna. I was just gonna ask real quick. You said that it literally translates to the old way, so I'm assuming there are new ways, and is this kind of like the way denominations work in Abrahamic religions?
No, it's more the fact that the old ways, like the old customs, we
Hmm.
we cherish what happened before the Christianization of the Nordics.
Okay.
That a lot of the things we have are written down during, the Nordics being Christian, and a lot of things are, folk tales that went orally, like oral tradition,
Okay.
until it started reoccurring again. So some of the old ways that we know were the old ways, we have, at least in my area, the people I hang around with, we kind of reinterpret them a little bit
Hmm.
because we don't believe in all of the old ways.
Okay.
We still acknowledge the fact that they are a part of our history.
Hmm.
Like we had a slave system called the thrall system. We know that's a part of our history,
Hmm.
but even though that was part of the old ways, we do not follow that one because we do believe that slavery is wrong.
Gotcha. Okay. So,
So it's a new interpretation of the old ways.
okay. So updated, kind of.
Yeah,
S
modernized, I would say.
Okay. So how did you have you always been Norse pagan? Was this something that like your family practiced and you kept into, or did you find it as you grew up?
Uh, it's a long, winding story that I will try to shorten down. So I used to be a Christian
Oh, okay.
until I was a teenager. My family is Christian. My mother more Christian than my father.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but there was a day when I woke up and I needed, the support of that God.
Mm-hmm.
I needed some advice, and he couldn't give it to me.
Hmm.
I did everything I was told to do. I was told to speak to the pastor and the priests. I was told to speak to the higher ups, and no one could answer the question I needed. And it wasn't like, oh, what's next year's lottery number or something like
Right.
that. It was
Right.
like, this is deeply personal. Please assist me because I'm conflicted.
Yeah.
Uh, and then I started reading the actual Bible and realized that, oh shit. I don't know if I can say
Yeah.
shit.
You
You will
can
have to
you
bleep that out.
free reign.
Yeah. But basically, I was like, no, this book is horrible because I wasn't taught, about all the horrible stuff.
Yeah.
Um, and I tried to be an atheist for half a year, and it turns out I suck at being an atheist. Even agnostic atheist, like I suck at it because it didn't make sense to me. Because there has
Gotcha.
always been this thing in me that says that there is something there,
Greater, something
and
greater.
then yeah, something greater is not.
Maybe not.
This is where my Swedish, yeah, like this is where my Swedish brain goes in. Like I wouldn't call it greater. It's just
Hmm.
that there is something higher.
Yeah. Okay. That might be a better way.
Yeah, and then this is going to sound very superstitious, and I do understand how it sounds,
No,
but
go ahead.
then a Mjolnir pendant actually found me.
Oh,
And
wow.
Mjolnir is the hammer of Thor, or
Yeah.
Mjolnir as we say it. That found me,
Okay.
and after that I started doing, research, and it just felt right.
Mm-hmm. It clicked.
And yeah, it was like, how we see morals, how we see life, how we see how we're supposed to live. Everything just like, this fits me. And then I started reading about the gods, and it took me a while to realize that I can believe in the gods.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to know that the gods exist, but I can still believe in them.
Right.
And that's about it. And of course, I do believe in the gods. But it took me a while to realize what they stood for, where they are, what they do, stuff like that. And then I found a really good community that I could ask questions, so they could actually answer my questions.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a community of very mixed faiths. So we had the Fornseed ones, we had the Asatru ones, we had the Heathen ones. Like, everyone was there.
Mm-hmm.
So there were different answers for the questions, but all the answers kind of made sense.
I gotcha.
And the fact that, I was giving this book with Swedish translations of the old sagas.
Mm-hmm.
That was written in old Swedish, by the way, so it was like horrible for, a 16, 17-year-old to walk through. But I was like, I don't know if I agree with all of them. Like, I don't believe in our Genesis story. And they were like, that's fine. You don't have to.
That's interesting that
And
it's that open.
yeah, there is no like, oh, you need to believe this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm free to believe in evolution. I'm free to believe in the Big Bang Theory. I should still, keep the gods in mind, and I do that.
Right. Well,
So
that kind of leads into the next question. Normally, I would say what to the best of your ability, what's describe the God that you believe in, but you believe in a pantheon. So
yes, I believe in several.
right. I want to say that I had heard you say something like 20 something. Is that right?
Yeah, we have at least 22,
Mm-hmm.
and then we have several others, which depends on how you define a god. And that's a very vague answer, and I do understand it's a vague answer, but it could be argued that we have over 40.
Oh, wow. So when you say it depends on how you define a god, what can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, so there is two definitions of a god that I know in English, at least.
Mm-hmm.
And you have the god, the Almighty One, the Omnipotent, all the omnis.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the other definition, which is a deity with superhuman abilities.
Okay.
And for us, we have the Vanir, which is one set of gods, and we have the Asir, which
Mm-hmm.
is, or Asar or Vanir. It's really hard to do this in English, which are the gods.
Mm-hmm.
But then those gods had kids. Like, for instance, Loki has a kid that is a giant sea snake.
Okay. Okay.
Some
Yeah.
people, yeah, some people worship Jormungandr as a god. I
Hmm.
don't see Jormungandr, which is the name of the serpent,
Mm-hmm.
as a god. But if someone worship that, it's mostly eclectic pagans actually that do that. But if they see that as a god, we have over 40. If we're
Okay.
going to count that as a god, I don't see him as a god. Therefore, you're around 22.
So you have a tighter pantheon, and
Yeah,
it includes I would say Odin and Loki that you've mentioned. I can't remember if you mentioned Odin, but I'm sure it includes Odin. Odin and Loki, Heimdall, uh,
Heimdall, Frey and Freya.
Thor, of
Don't
course.
forget Thor. Yeah,
Yeah.
Thor, but not the Chris Hemsworth
Right. Right.
version, not the hot Thor,
Uh,
the fat Thor.
Real quick, could you give us a little bit of a description of the Thor, like the actual Thor in Norse, versus what? Because everybody's pretty much going to be familiar with the MCU, I think, especially here in America.
Yeah. So I know I'm gonna get some comments about this, but um, again, this is very open. how we choose to see him.
Mm-hmm.
Thor is, he likes food, so he's not, this six pack kind of dude.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, he is a little bit, more shonky. He has either red or brown hair, depending on how you translate that one. He is very quick to anger. He has a very short temperament, and honestly, he's kind of dumb.
He's kind of dull, do you say?
Dumb,
Dumb.
dumb,
Oh,
stupid.
yeah.
Yeah, but he's also very loyal. He's very protective, and if we compare him to the MCU one, where you have this, hot piece of Chris Hemsworth, and you look at the, have you seen Avengers Endgame?
Yeah.
That's a more uh,
More
good
accurate.
depiction of Thor. Yeah, more
That's
accurate.
interesting.
Except that Thor, from what I know from all the sagas, has never been like, given up like that. But
Right.
his looks are more like Thor should be.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So,
And
oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
the last thing I want to say about Thor is Thor's, if we look at the Marvel one, where he wants to fix everything with Mjolnir in the beginning, he wants to
Mm-hmm.
hit the frost giants. That is actually Thor. Because Thor is basically, I'm going to hammer this. Oh, it didn't work. I'm going to scream a bit. Then I'm going to hammer it again and see if it works the second time.
He is a hammer.
Yeah.
So, in your faith, how does that in like a day to day way? How do you practice that in a day to day way?
This is a hard question to answer because usually when you talk to people about how do you practice your faith, it's a lot of people do this daily. I do my things weekly, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I work closely with two gods. Sorry, I don't work with them because they don't work with me. I give my offerings to two gods specifically because
Mm-hmm.
I'm part of a community where we have Freya and Njörder, which is the goddess of love, basically, and war. Confusing, and the
Okay.
goddess of and the god of the sea. Um, we we are devoted to them. So once a week, I will do some kind of offering, some type of grains or something that matters, like a little bit of mjöd, for instance,
Mm-hmm.
or mead, as you would say it. And some people do that daily. I do that weekly, and then I wear my Mjolnir pendant around my neck every day.
Mm-hmm.
I only take it off when I shower, um, and I just try to be a good pagan,
Gotcha.
which is be friendly to everyone as long as they're friendly back. Like I respect people who are respectful to you.
Right. Right.
Seek knowledge and just don't be a dick, basically.
Let's see. Well,
So in the day,
go ahead.
oh sorry, go ahead.
No, no, no. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, so in the day-to-day life, like if you meet me on the street, you would never know that I'm a Norse pagan
Mm-hmm.
because it's not like I'm walking around with screaming that Odin loves you and you should convert to the cult of Thor or whatever. It's
Mm-hmm.
just that we we are not like that. It's more I celebrate the big parts of my faith, which are we have our holidays, we have the fall feast, we have the spring feast, we have Yule, which is Christmas for everyone else, basically. And those are not day to day. Those are we have specific calendars for when
Right.
we get the time span of 3 weeks. This is somewhere where the fall feast is supposed to be. This is when Yule happens. This is when we have the victory feast, stuff like that.
Well,
And those are the important things for me.
it definitely sounds very personal. You know what I mean? Like
It is.
so. Um, Now the one thing that I wanted to ask you about as far as like the practices you've mentioned before about rune casting, and I was just wondering if you could talk a little bit about that.
Oh yeah. I need to say though that rune casting is not a part of the faith, so to speak.
Oh, okay.
It's a part that you might find when you go down the path of paganism.
Mm-hmm.
Um, for me, I do. two rune castings every morning. I do one for myself, just to see what does the rune eventually tell me that might happen today. Should I be, should I keep my guard up or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
It's nothing more like that. And then I do one for friends and family, where I let the runes tell me if, do I need to check in on someone?
Right.
Is there something on the horizon? And with all honesty, it doesn't work all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes the runes are dead wrong, and sometimes they might be right. We don't know that because it could be coincidence as well. But it's something that is deeply personal to me and something that feels right to do.
Mm-hmm. Would
And
you?
you're never going to hear me say like, "Oh, faithless, like today you need to be extra watchful because the runes told me that something bad will happen to you if you go over the street." You're never going to hear me say that. It's more going to be like, "Hey, sending you positive vibes." And most of the people who know me personally by now knows that, oh, the runes told you that you should do that, right? And I was go, yeah,
That's what I was gonna say. So it doesn't sound like it's not necessarily a, and it may sometimes or something. I'm not sure, but it sounds like it's not like specific necessarily. It's not telling you that like, oh, Bill's gonna get hit by a bus, so you should say something. It more gives you Bill might be in need, but not necessarily the specificity of what it is.
exactly. Like Bill needs some words of encouragement.
Mm-hmm.
And I have devoted probably 20 years of studying the runes. Like I wrote a book about them as well.
Mm-hmm.
But there are other people that are more proficient in reading the runes than I am. And there are other people, I know a couple that, they do this more in depth than I do,
Mm-hmm.
and they can give you a more specified answer, but you will never hear anyone who do rune casting say, well, this person is going to be hit by a bus at this time, this specific day,
Gotcha.
because the runes doesn't work like that either.
Gotcha. That's very interesting. So, I'm assuming with a pantheon and everything that they are all at times at odds with each other, and like it sounded like that in some of what I had read. So is that because the next question is the according to the belief, why is there suffering? I'm assuming that there's something with the gods, either strife between them, or is there a specific god that's the cause of suffering, or how does that work?
That's the thing. Suffering, if we look at human suffering, that
Mm-hmm.
has nothing to do with the gods.
Gotcha.
Because uh, the gods, yeah, there are some quarrel between the gods, and Loki being Loki, um, he does get into a lot of mischiefs
Mm.
that will eventually end up with bad things for the gods. Like he unalives Boulder, for instance. He is the mastermind behind that. But the gods themselves are not in quarrel with each other anymore because that was a war. There was a war between them,
Mm-hmm.
and that was solved. Um, and now it's basically, oh, we're going to keep the Jotuns, which are the giants,
Mm-hmm.
away from humanity, and that's why we have Thor. Um, and we're going to make sure that we're preparing for the end of times, which is Ragnarok, and that will, affect humans as well, of course. But when it comes to humans, we are basically we're living here on Midgard, and the gods are like, yep, we left them to their own devices. We can help them sometimes if we need to, like if you do an offering to Freya for rain, then you might get it, or Freyr, depending on how you see it. You might get rain, you might not get rain because everything happens for a reason, basically.
Mm.
Um, but the reason why they're suffering on Midgard is because humans are humans.
Yeah. So it puts the
That's about it.
responsibility on us for our for what we do.
Yeah. So,
That makes
and
sense.
that's why the only thing we have when it comes to this is how you should be is the Havamal, which is the words of Odin, and those are not like divine commandments. It's
Mm-hmm.
not like you shall do this. It's more like, well, if you want to do this, it will give you a little bit of peace, but you're not forced to. So we are we are left to live our lives as we see fit, and if that brings suffering, that's on us.
That's interesting that Odin's not commanding; he's just kind of giving us a suggestion. But hey, you do what you want.
Yeah. Um, there is a part of the Havamal which translates to the words of the High One, basically. Um, that literally says it starts every kind of verse with uh, "Listen to me, Lord Fafnir," and Lord Fafnir is a person he's talking to here, and the person who's probably writing this down. I will give you advice, and great things might come to you if you did hear it. And then he just gives you the advice. And it's that, might come to you if you did hear it. It's like, okay, you can do this, you don't have to do this.
So the next question, and this was an interesting one too, because and you had kind of pointed this out to me before I had read the book. Um, Valhalla is apparently not where everyone goes when they die.
No, that's correct.
Can you elaborate a
It,
little bit more on the after death in the Norse?
yeah, so this is a hot topic because people usually hear Norse pagan and they go, "Oh, you want to die in battle and you want to go to Valhalla." And I usually say like, "No, I want to go to Helheim." And for a Christian to hear me say I want, or an Abrahamic person hear me say, "Hey, I want to go to hell," because they
Yeah.
don't hear the high, they just hear hell. They go like, "Why do you want to go to hell?" And it's like we have at least four written down
Hmm.
places we know we can go to, and then in my specific bubble of the faith, we have several others because we hypothesize about some other of the holes as well. But everyone knows about Valhalla. Valhalla is a boot camp which you will end up in if you die honorably in battle.
Okay.
Everyone has heard of this because, like, even the Marvel
Yeah,
movies
that
talks
was the
about it.
only one that I had really heard of.
Yeah, and Valhalla is basically uh, you wake up, you get breakfast, you fight, you might die, you might not die, you eat. If you die, you resurrected, then you eat, then you fall asleep, then you wake up and you do this again, over and over and over until Ragnarok, which is the end of times.
Hmm. Sounds
The thing
exhausting.
people don't know, sorry,
I said it sounds exhausting.
yeah, it is probably.
There go.
I
I
will
think
say probably because I haven't been there yet, so and I don't
right.
aim to go there either.
You don't plan on dying on a
So
battlefield?
no, I'm a pacifist,
It's probably a better way to be.
or try to be at least. But basically, it's the thing people don't know is about Folkvanga, which is the second boot camp,
Hmm.
and that's Freya's domain. Freya, who is also queen of the Valkyries, she gets first pick. So when you have all of these people who died honorably on the battlefield,
Hmm.
she gets to pick the best ones. And they go to Folkvanga, which is basically a boot camp but more relaxing. It's less training, it's more, peacefulness, but it's still you are waiting there until the end of times when you need to fight.
And you said they're all training for Ragnarok.
They're all training for Ragnarok. And
Gotcha.
that brings us into the third one, which is Helheim,
Hmm.
where the people who have been dishonorable, unalived, and dead, died in battle goes. And they will fight on the bad side of Ragnarok.
Gotcha.
However, people who die of old age or of sickness will also end up of Helheim, but that's a different part of Helheim.
They now do those people also fight on the bad side or
No, those are just, dead.
okay, gotcha. It's interesting.
Like, you're supposed to be there and celebrate with your ancestors. That's about it. And
Hmm.
that's what we know. And then there is a lot of people who have like they have hypotheses about what's going on there and stuff like that, and you have people starting, I'm not going to call them cults, but communities that, like, according to this saga, I interpret it like this. But what we know is that people who die of old age and sickness will end up in Helheim as well, but it's not the same Helheim, or it's the same Helheim, but it's a different part of that Helheim than the people who will be quote unquote punished for being dishonorable.
Hmm.
Because the Voluspa tells us that there is a place where dishonorable people are punished by either trampling mud or being gnawed by a really big dragon slash snake.
Hmm. Sounds like no fun.
So yeah, it's this is why I'm trying to tell people that when you ask me, okay, how are you a good pagan? I go like, well, don't be a dick, and you're probably set for life. but
There's
but then
words to
we
live by, though.
yeah, like just don't be a dick unless you have to. But there is there's not that often you actually need to be a dick.
Right. Yeah, that is true.
I also saw the chat here, and it was quite funny. No, but and then the fourth one we know that we have sources about is Ran's place or Ran's realm or the Hall of Ran, which is another sea goddess. And if you unalive at sea, you will end up there.
Hmm. What's it like there?
Wet, I guess.
Just okay.
No, like all the halls for the gods,
Mhm.
because every god has their own hall, are usually, you know, see it as a big estate or a castle or whatever you want to imagine.
Mhm.
And you are just there. Maybe you work for the gods, maybe you help them with something, maybe you just live your daily life. You get food, you get I don't know,
Is that
you know,
I mean,
you,
is that life eternal?
yeah,
Yeah.
kind of until Ragnarok.
Oh well, yeah, yeah. Until Ragnarok.
Because what happens after Ragnarok is quite confusing. Because we know the Earth will reset.
Mhm.
Some gods will survive Ragnarok, some will not, and we know humans will survive. But it's still undecided, or we still don't know if everyone who dies in Ragnarok will end up in Helheim. We don't know if you can bring people back from Helheim. We
Mhm.
have sagas that will tell us that there is maybe a possibility to bring back people from Helheim.
Mhm.
It's a lot. It's confusing, and even when I've studied it for like 20 years now, I still don't have those answers.
Right.
All I know is that I'm probably going to end up in Helheim, hopefully, because I don't want to die on the battlefield.
Yeah. I don't think I want to die on the battlefield either. So now,
No.
would you say that this stuff about Valhalla and the afterlife is would that be the most misunderstood part that you could think of, or is there another area that you think is a more misunderstood part of your faith?
It's one of the three, I would say. Uh, the biggest misconception people have about my faith is that it's only for white people,
Hmm.
or
Oh,
to be fair, only for Scandinavian people
yeah, we
or
talked a
people from
little bit about
Scandinavia.
this the other day.
Yeah, like I see a lot of people who try to make this kind of a closed practice kind of thing. Like, oh, you need to be Scandinavian or you need to be from Scandinavian descent, and there were no Africans who were Norse pagans. And it's like, I'm sitting here in Sweden because this is usually from the other side of the pond, the USA.
Hmm.
Uh, Also, I should say other places as well. I've met two, not met, but I have talked to them, two guys from Russia before the war,
Hmm.
who also thought like, oh, this is only for people who have Scandinavian ancestry. And I'm like, no, because even in Sweden we have these tales about the blue men, and blue land is what we call Africa here.
Oh, okay. I was
Or
about to say
we
blue
called.
men.
We don't do it anymore because now we call it Africa. But
Right.
back in the day, blue land was Africa. The people who came from Africa were the blue men or the Blaman, which is if they moved here and became pagans, then they are Norse pagans.
Hmm.
Who, if you follow our gods, you're a Norse pagan, no matter if you're from Sweden, if you're from the USA, if you're from Bolivia, or Madagascar. So, and that's the thing I'm trying to when I speak to people is that you don't get to decide who is a Norse pagan or not. I don't get to decide who's a Norse pagan or not. But a person who devotes themselves to Odin or to Freya or to Balder or Bragi,
Hmm.
they are a Norse pagan by definition.
Gotcha.
this is not a close practice. There are no dogmas like that.
And another thing that I think it was in the How to Norse Pagan book that was pointed out that just because you're Norse Pagan does not mean you're Viking. Because Viking
Yeah.
was it like a, did you describe it as like being a job almost?
Yeah, so this is a debate that goes on. It arises every 5 years or something. What is an actual Viking? And people say that, oh, the people who lived in old Nordics were Vikings. All of them were Vikings. And I don't personally agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
I see arguments for and against that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
We know that the people who were um, called Vikings were the one who went, seafaring.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because that's what our history tells us. And this is why I usually, play the Swedish card or like the Nordics card that, I'm actually from old country. This is what we say, at least. This is what our history says. And this is since I said there were third misconceptions, this is the third one that, oh, pagan, all my ancestors were Vikings. No, they weren't. Because if your ancestors were from the middle of Sweden, like Varnhem, for instance, uh, they didn't go seafaring. They were farmers. If you want to call that a Viking, sure, but that's not the cool Viking you're thinking of, that
Right.
raiding England. And a big part of what people are missing is that from around late 700s, Christianity already started to take root
Mm-hmm.
in Sweden, which means that we know for a fact that Ansgar, who was a Christian missionary, actually converted one of the king's men
Mm-hmm.
to become Christian, and his regiment would then be, Christianized. So we had Christian Vikings already then, in the start of the Viking Age, what we call the Viking Age.
Gotcha.
So just because your ancestors might be from Sweden, does or Norway or Denmark or I want to say Finland, but Finland has their own kind of religion.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it doesn't mean that you were Norse pagan Vikings. They might have been Vikings, but most of the Vikings in the 900s were majority Christian then.
I just thought that was an interesting little separation between, because you kind of, at least me, and I might just be the the dim one there, but like I kind of associated them both together.
Yeah, but it's when we look at modern media, like the show Vikings, for instance,
Mm-hmm.
they show all the Vikings as, oh, we're gonna do this for Odin and we're gonna sacrifice people to Odin and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's like we don't know if that actually happened because the only sources we have that we sacrifice people to Odin is from a Christian missionary called Adam of Bremen, I think it is.
And
Um,
he was probably
and
biased.
a little bit, I would say a little bit.
Well,
No, so it's
go
those
ahead.
are the three most misunderstood parts of my faith, at least.
Well, I guess the next thing in a, especially from an when compared to like the Abrahamic faiths, it's the whole thing is a unique faith. But there are other beliefs that have pantheons. You were talking a little bit about with the eclectic pagans. There's the Norse, or there's the Roman pantheon. There's the Greek pantheon. What would you say is the most unique thing about the Norse pagan when compared to other things that might seem similar?
That's a really hard question because we have so many similarities with so many other pagan trees. So
Mm-hmm.
say, like Germanic paganism needs to be shouted out here because we came from the Germanic pagans. If we look at it from a history point of view, in, but they call Odin Vodin, for instance, and he was not the king of the gods. That was Tyr.
Oh, I
But
didn't know that.
no, there is a lot of history here that is very interesting to get into.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and you see an evolution here. But what I would say is the most, this is where I need to bring it down to my faith, the
Sure, sure.
ones that my in my community have, is the total lack of strict rules. The thing that we know the sagas, we read the sagas, we translate the sagas,
Mm-hmm.
but we do not need to believe that the Earth is flat, for instance.
Right.
Despite one quote unquote saga, I'm not going to call it saga, but one saga tells us that. We do not need to believe that the gods made the two first humans. You can believe in, say, Balder, for instance, but you don't need to believe that we are two pieces of driftwood that the gods found and was like, yep, let's make these humans.
I definitely think that that would
And
be a unique thing, especially compared to Abrahamic religions, where they're definitely way stricter on their, or narrower might be a better word.
yeah, like they try to bake in, like when I speak to a lot of Christians, I'm not going to say all Christians because, there are many different variations of Christians, but there's a lot of Christians who try to bake in Adam and Eve into the evolutionary tree.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, evolution can be true, but it all started from these two humans.
Right.
And for me, that is a problem, because it doesn't work like that.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
Adam and Eve could have been part of evolution. We don't know that, but we know that it didn't start with two humans.
Yeah. There weren't one day just a man and a woman.
No, especially where the woman came from another man's rib. At least
And the
in
man
our
came from
origin
dust.
story, yeah. In our story, it's two pieces of wood that becomes a man and a woman. They don't come from each other. So no,
Actually,
but
that might be a good one, real quick, before we do the last question. It might be good. Could you just briefly give the origin of things?
this is where I need to do shameless plug and say I did a funny video about this on my TikTok channel, but I will give you the short one. So three gods are out walking one day, and they. Oh, do you want the first two humans, or do you want how the world began?
Whatever you would like. Yeah, we can go with the
No,
world. We can go with the humans. Let's
you get to
since
choose.
since you said you have the video. Give whatever you don't have in the video, and then curious minds, please go check out Mike the Norse Pagan on. Well, I'll have him plug all his stuff here before we end, but definitely check him out for more information.
Okay, since I covered the most of the things in the video, I'm going to give you the absolutely short version.
Okay.
First, you had nothing, but we know that nothing doesn't exist. So we give it a name called Ginnungagap. From Ginnungagap, boom, ice giant. Ice giant creates more ice giants. Then a sacred cow licks some salty icy rocks. Boom, first god. God gets a wife. Those have kids. Kids have more kids. Three of these kids decide, hey, that ice giant, we don't like him. Kills ice giant, takes all his things, makes the world out of his bones and stuff. Word created.
That's a
Suddenly,
good
three
story.
gods out walking one day in this world finds two pieces of wood and be like, hey, look, IKEA manual, cool. Creates humans from these two pieces of wood. Suddenly, two humans. Done.
It's still a good story.
It's it's a really nice story when you read it, but some I do understand some people that are very critical be like, no, it couldn't have been like this, and I'm go, yeah, I agree, but it's still a better love story than Twilight.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was a way
Yeah,
that, like, you have to look at the people that created that. It was a way for them to explain it
yeah,
and to
and
put it rooted in their faith.
yeah, and when you look at it, it makes sense. Like they're trying to explain, oh, where did we come from? This is a good explanation.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I just don't get why there is a sacred cow just showing up from nowhere.
Because
It's like,
sometimes you need a
oh,
sacred cow.
yeah, but like imagine it like, oh, where did we come from? Oh, we need milk. Therefore, cow. It's like,
I mean, it makes sense. It makes as much
yeah.
sense as anything else.
Yeah, I would say it makes more sense than some of the stuff I read in the Bible. Just some of the stuff, because some of the things in the Bible actually make sense. I don't want this to be a hit piece on the Christianity, you know.
No. I get it. But there are some wild claims. But I think that's with a lot of those books. Um, well, I guess the final question was going to be: do you think that there would be any evidence or anything that would change your mind about your faith that would make it, I guess, something that would make you change your faith, change your religion almost? Or is it that something that you're pretty confident in now?
Yes and no. There is one thing that could change me,
Hmm.
and it's not proof of other gods, because that is like, I do believe that all gods exist. I just think that some of them has better PR firms than the rest of them. Um, but if someone were to find a document tomorrow, and that is authenticated that it is from the gods, and the god says, "Oh, you need to hate everyone who is in Scandinavian," then I will stop following my gods.
Yeah.
I will not stop following, the other the other things I see. Be a nice person to friends and strangers. Don't be a dick. Like, that is so ingrained in me now. Always
Right.
seek knowledge. I love seeking knowledge. But if there was a document like that saying, you know, it's authenticated that these are from the gods, that, yeah, you need to be racist, or you need to murder. I forget that we're not on TikTok, so I want to say unalive.
Yeah. You
Like, you need to
say what you want.
murder everyone. Yeah, like everyone who's in white. Then it's like, okay, these are not gods I want to follow, because I do not follow genocide, genocidal maniacs. I can't speak anymore.
You're not used to being able to say the regular words.
No, I just want to go like, unalive and schmurder
Yep.
and pew pew.
Well, Mike, thank you for sitting down and taking the time to go through all this. I want to give you a second. Once again, let me show them these books. These are but two of the books that he has. I bought these off of Amazon. You can get them either a paperback copy like I have, or you can get them for Kindle if you prefer reading them that way. He has many more books. Take a second and plug yourself, man. What all do you have going on?
No, I'm very bad at plugging, but I do have a new book out called The Lucasena, which is it's like an old time rap battle where Loki goes to a feast with other gods and basically just have an old fashioned rap battle with them. It's a very interesting story. And the book I usually recommend for people is the one I have a compilation of the three first book I translated, which includes the Havamal,
Hmm.
which is, I would say, the book of oh, what's it called? It's not morals, but you know um, guidelines.
Is that the one that was
With
Odin?
yeah, Odin's words basically like, hey, you can do this, you don't have to, but you can, and that's included in that book.
Gotcha.
Because when you read the Havamal, you start to understand a little bit how, because I have my personal interpretations, like this is how I see it, or this is how we see it, me and my community, and you start to realize how I work and how my group works. That we have this we have these codes that we can follow if we want to, and if you want to follow them like we do, this is how we see them,
Hmm.
but you might to see them differently, and it's really interesting to just read about.
Yeah, I need to pick that one up. I plan to get that one. I plan to get the one that has the all three of them in the one, because I really liked the Beluspa. It was an interesting read. There was a lot of stuff that I didn't know that we got from it. All the Tolkien names and things like that. I didn't know that. Um, I didn't know about the animals that live at the World Tree. The big snake or dragon that lived under it. Was it a bone?
Yeah, the Nidhogger. Yeah, he's an interesting thing, and there will be a book about him and some of the quote unquote dark animals,
Hmm.
and I don't know how to translate it yet, because technically it's dark animals, but I will say bad animals, that I will bring up in September. I guess we will put that one out. where you get some more information about him specifically,
Oh,
because he
awesome.
is an interesting thing when you start looking at the sagas and some of the folk tales here from the Nordics, because we have a lot of folk tales about him.
And the books that you're translating, those were the poetic Eddas. Was that right?
Yeah, I translate both. So you have the Prose Edda and the Poetic Edda, and those are my main focus. Then I'm gonna someday sit down and translate the Heimskringla as well, um, which is a word that a lot of people don't know what it is. And
Yeah, I'm one of those people.
yeah, getting into my part of Norse paganism or Norse paganism, don't start with the Heimskringla. Start with the Eddas.
Okay.
We start there and then we go into the other things.
Well, once again,
But
thank you for taking the time. I didn't mean to cut you off there. Did you have something else?
no, I just want to say thank you for having me.
Well, yeah,
This
absolutely.
was really nice.
Um, Everyone, once again, follow him, Mike the Norse Pagan. It is Mike the Norse Pagan, not Darth Mike on TikTok, right?
Yeah,
Or
Darth
either
Mike is
one.
just a screen name.
Okay. Follow him on TikTok. He has fantastic videos on the Norse paganism. They are very humorous. They're little short little bites that'll give you some information that you probably didn't know if your only exposure to things like Thor are from Marvel. But yeah, again, thank you. It was very informative. I'd actually maybe sometime we can sit down and go through some of this mythology specifically, just to get your take on some of the stories and things. I found it really, really interesting.
Yeah, of course. Just give me a shout when you want to. And there, talking Norse paganism, I can do for hours and hours and hours. Just ask Susie, who's in the audience at the moment.
Well, excellent.